Hi, my name is S.Turner. Today I'll be presenting assignment number 2 for EDC1200, Self-Education and Society, which addresses the question, how might education mediate difference and dominance? The event I'm going to discuss is the rejection of people with disabilities in the community, but I'll be looking closely at those within the school setting itself. On August 4, 2010, the 7:30 p.m. report on Channel ABC aired Lisa Whitehead's report, Parents Fight for Disabled Kids. The focus of this report was on the specialist schools being closed down, this forcing children to attend mainstream schools. Even though the report is focusing on the blind, the same effects can be seen to all who encounter disabilities. Although one-on-one help is available and specialist teachers often visit, children's needs are still not fully met, this leaving them socially isolated. This report made me think about the way in which the disabled, especially children, are treated within our society. In younger children, it is hard to describe to them the meaning and concept of disability, yet it is even harder to convey to them that it is okay and these people are not abnormal. I believe that disability is a topic we need to speak about within schools, predominantly in the younger grades, in an attempt to at least minimise but hopefully remove the exclusion that occurs at schools, mostly within the playground when there is little supervision. Sanders and Fye, 2004, stated that bullying predominantly occurs in school settings, with Farrington 1993 finding that researchers have estimated 49 to 50% of all students will experience some form of bullying during their educational experience. As much as we try to teach children to accept disability and show a positive attitude towards it, there are still many adults who criticise these disabled children and hold a negative outlook upon them. We even see Mr. Darren Fitler, who is from the New South Wales Disability Discrimination Legal Centre, to hold this negative approach when he opposed any money being spent on a specialist school, saying it should be used to support those within the mainstream. If this behaviour continues and children with high-need disabilities are forced to attend mainstream schools without having the availability of specialist resourcing, these children are not going to have the ability to succeed. This leaving them as outcasts during their schooling years and later in life as they are unable to seek employment due to their lack of ability, when in actual fact there are fair employment opportunities available for not only the blind but others who suffer disabilities. Importantly, this article suggests that as a country we are ignorant towards the disabled. This is true. Both the Victorian and federal government refuse the Insight school funding until the school is registered. The school is unable to go through with the registration due to inadequate funds, which is delaying the finish. All they are asking for is a one-off grant to finish the school for these visually impaired students. Australians lack the understanding to help and include these children in order to provide them the best life possible. I believe that disability awareness is an essential sector to be incorporated into the school curriculum. The plan I would use in order to effectively teach the acceptance of disability to grade 5s would be based over a period of 4 weeks rather than a single lesson. Firstly, a slideshow incorporating pictures of people with disabilities would be shown. The pictures would include both children and adults partaking in numerous different activities, such as sports, shopping, painting, going to the beach, playing with friends and family, doing schoolwork, being adventurous like going to theme parks and the zoo, and attending work. This would hopefully ease students into the idea that they aren't that different after all. They are able to partake in the same everyday activities as us, just in their own way. After this, students would be asked what they thought about the clip. This may provoke them to pass comments such as, "Wow, I didn't know people in wheelchairs could play sport," or "I didn't know that people who are blind are able to work." Students would then split into small groups of 3 or 4 and be asked to brainstorm at least 4 disabilities. The groups would then share ideas with the rest of the class. It would be interesting to see the ideas that students came up with and which ideas were continually brought up. Students would be encouraged to think of more physical impairments, such as wheelchairs, canes and hearing aids, rather than intellectual disabilities which may include autism and Willis syndrome, as these are a bit more complicated to visually understand. Including a guest speaker amongst this work would be beneficial for the students as well as parents. They could hear about the life of this person and the challenges they may face, as well as ask any questions they may have. The guest speaker does not necessarily need to be someone famous such as a Paralympian, but if they were, this would probably encourage a positive attitude within the students. Including parents may allow for positive reinforcement to be used while out of the school setting when encountering those who are disabled. Now that students have discussed various types of disabilities and viewed photos of people with different impairments and maybe had the chance to listen to a guest speaker, a worksheet will be completed. There will only be a few questions on this worksheet. These may be: what is your definition of disability? Are people born with disabilities, or do they acquire them over a period of time? Do you know anyone with a disability? If yes, do you know what their disability is? And should people with disabilities be treated any differently? This worksheet will then help to complete their research project, which will then be set over a 4-week period. Before this though, students will have access to a variety of different equipment that the disabled may use and will need to work around their disability in different scenarios. Some different activities include being wheelchair bound or using crutches, being blind, and becoming deaf. Using a wheelchair or crutches. Students will participate in one activity each whilst being restricted to a wheelchair. Their activity may include unpacking their school bag, going to the playground, eating lunch, completing written work, participating in the phys ed lesson, accessing the toilet facilities and other areas of the school, such as the library and office. Blind. Students will sit at their desk whilst blindfolded and feel different objects before guessing what each object is. Whilst blindfolded, students will get to use a cane and maneuver themselves from one side of the classroom to the other. The next activity will be performed without a blindfold. Students will get to look at Braille writing and see if they can identify the same words or letters within a paragraph. They will also get to do some Braille typing. Deaf. Students will be split into small groups. Each student will be given a different word. One at a time, students will go outside the classroom and up to the window where they can be seen. From here, the student outside of the closed window needs to say their word in a soft voice so the noise doesn't travel. Students inside try and guess the word by lip reading. Of course, other more appropriate activities would also be conducted if this was to be a real-life lesson. Once activities are completed, a class discussion on how they felt during each activity will be held. Was it fun, hard, frustrating? Would they like to live like this? Lastly, a research project would be completed by each student. It could be based upon a family member or friend, or someone well known who has a disability. This activity will encourage students to refer back to the worksheet they had completed earlier and also engage in technology, searching the web for information. Overall, I think it is important for children especially to be aware that those who encounter disabilities are just like the rest of us who don't. These students will have hopefully realised that not all human beings are the same, and some people need help with certain tasks. This will have a positive impact on society if today's children are able to maintain this state of mind and even tell their parents what they have learnt.